Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 147. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for a weekly recap newsletter 205. So, just a quick summary of what happened this past week in Star Atlas. The community, I keep wanting to say community team, but unfortunately they don't exist. But anyway, so let's say the Star Atlas team. Sorry. I had a couple community events. There we go. Community events. Not the community team, Star Atlas team. Anyways, the Atlas Brew occurred, and then the Lore Keepers event occurred. So those were the two there. Atlas Brew had some information about some thoughts on AI in Star Atlas, some Zinc updates, C4 updates, and Holosim updates. But before we get into the details there, I just want to go over the things I'm working on in Star Atlas. Of course, you can check out my website, intergalacticherald.com. It's a great Star Atlas resource website with guides, directories, recaps, a Discord news feed. Again, intergalacticherald.com. Do have a Star Atlas merch store. You can check that out at intergalacticgear.com. And I am trying to get together a community of other Star Atlas gamers who don't want to join guilds. You can check that out at intergalacticcoalition.com. So as I mentioned this past week, there were two Star Atlas team events, community events, so the Atlas Brew and the Lore Keepers. If you've been listening to me for a while, I totally am supportive of lore. I'm not into it yet. So, but again, you can check out the recording of that on Star Atlas TV. And of course, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably already got my AI summary podcast video, audio summary. So you probably already checked that out. So I'm just going to focus on the Star Atlas Brew. Started out, I think there was a slight delay, or not delay, but I think they'd already started the thing before the recording was set. Again, you could check out the entire recording at Star Atlas TV on YouTube. So they were talking a lot about AI in Star Atlas, and they mentioned that they definitely are looking at different options, maybe for NPCs or other things like that. They did mention that they do feel like there's a place for some bots. Now, I'm not sure if this was in the framework of the characters, or if this was bots as far as automation, or if this was bots as far as the marketplace. So again, but definitely they think is a place for that. They did mention due to the fact that it is a blockchain, there will always be bots, and I think this is more of the discussion, kind of the marketplace and things like that. But that was the bulk of the conversations about AI and kind of, theory crafting about different things. And then near the end, they did do some updates on kind of the development process. So in Zinc, they've been putting out some bug fixes, which I did see in the Zinc Discord, some announcements on those. They also kind of updated how the Sage gameplay affects the, ZXP experience points updates. And they did fix some things related to profile linking in Zinc. They did also give an update on C4. They said the internal team testing has been going well, and they're doing that. And they're actually going to add some lore components to C4. Now, I didn't get the feeling like this is one of those has to be done, that this could happen through the kind of playtest, but definitely they want to have consistent lore throughout it. And then the final thing they mentioned about Holosim, that it is probably going to be delayed. And then I think the Star Atlas Discord did have an official delayed announcement, because I think it was supposed to come out on Wednesday, not sure, Thursday, can't remember, one of those 2 days. So, and I'm recording this as of Pacific time Friday night, and I'm pretty sure it's still delayed. So anyways, yeah, so that's pretty much the Atlas Brew, kind of more of a, I don't know, I guess I would call it a general discussion as opposed to sort of a set topic and things like that. But, that's fine. So let's go ahead and move into my next section, kind of my thoughts on the state of Star Atlas based on kind of what happened this past week. I do have to say, even though this Atlas Brew is slightly different, I am kind of definitely liking this kind of different makeup of how they're doing the Atlas Brews, with way more specific development updates, even if, again, they aren't vague on timing. Just the fact that we know, hey, this last week, the C4 did internal testing and the team's working on it and things like that. So, yeah, I think these are kind of great updates and good to really, more feel like we're in the, getting constant updates every week on what's going on. So, Holosim delay, I guess you got to get it right. If there was some reason to hold it, that makes perfect sense. Did seem like they were I was more anticipating the I saw the announcement before I listened to the Atlas Brew, and so I was kind of assuming there was some like last minute bug or something like that, but it sounds like they were kind of still polishing it. So again, I don't have any problems with that. Launch dates are just what it is, and it's not like they put a ton of marketing behind the date or anything like that. So yeah, and I think ultimately, I think I've said it before, I mean, this launch has to work to just start reinstilling confidence in the development, in the gameplay, having something consistent to bring in new players and things like that. So yeah, makes perfect sense. So about the AI, and again, I think in Star Atlas anyways, first, I don't know if we have a definition of when people say, oh, you need AI, because I think it's sort of like saying you need a programmer, you need, I don't know, be fun. It means something different to each person. So, I don't know. I do have some thoughts on AI in Star Atlas. And again, I guess it's, how you want to apply it. Again, if AI equals bots, that's kind of different. I don't know. Bots, if you read the Star Atlas Discord, people are saying, or have always said, that certain bots are buying and selling items on the marketplace. So I don't know. I don't have enough. I don't have enough understanding. I mean, I don't even know how that works. Not from a technical standpoint, but I mean, what is it? The arbitrage model. You sell a little high and then you buy, and I don't know, somebody has a ton of money to kind of be buying and selling constantly. So yeah, this is just stuff I don't really understand, nor do I understand, because again, the marketplace to me is an economic system, so I just don't have the background to know pro or con. But one thing they were talking about with AI that kind of resonated maybe in a negative way with me, talking about having independent AI players, and I'm like, I don't know, that just doesn't, I don't know. I mean, I don't have a problem if there are, again, we use these terms bots, but I mean, if you're playing the shooter, there's always been these concept. I mean, this predates what we call AI now. I mean, I remember playing against quote unquote bots, and, or even I'll go back to some of my original game playing, like RTSs like Age of Empires or whatever. There was always, computer players, and you played against them, and you had the difficulty setting, and you could change that. And yeah, I just played on beginner. Why? Because I just want to have fun. I don't need to there, and you be patient enough and you almost always win. But again, it's fine. I don't care. So, I mean, this idea that AI, I mean, if that's what we had before, I mean, that's fine. Just, yeah, sure. But I don't know. I guess when they were talking about, or when the idea of crew came out, ships, I mean, it was always, I guess to me anyways, we started, or my experience started in Star Atlas buying ships. And so it's like, hey, I'm buying a ship. Okay, and then I'm buying another ship. And there was no kind of concept of crew. And then once we could finally see a player and get into our ship and pilot around, you would walk in, get the different key strokes and sit down in the cockpit, and then it switched and you could fly the ship. And I was like, yeah, no, this is just, I don't know. It just was like, that's how it's got to be. But then when they released crew, and these crew had names and characteristics and things like that, I was still under the impression that you would, I don't know, take over your crew. And so it was still you looking through their eyes. I mean, just, I don't know, just never thought of it any differently. But it sounds like what they've been brainstorming is that the crew could be interactive. And again, this is where I don't know, we throw on terms like AI and NPCs, NPCs. Now I get it when a quest, you walk up to somebody and they say, hey, go get me this stuff and bring it back. And that's a non-playable character, NPC, but they give a quest. And so you don't expect them to interact. And I know some other games, they talked about how much, voice actors they put in and how many different decision trees and things like that. But if we're talking the way we think of AI now, and of course the idea that these things are totally autonomous, and then you put this in as a player in the game, and then they're playing a game. Again, I don't know if they're controlled by the team or controlled by individuals or whatever, but I don't know, it feels like then you're not playing a game, or you're not playing, because they were using the analogy in the Atlas Brew about, playing poker, and, somebody just does it casually, they're not that good, and then somebody practices all the time. And yeah, we could take that from poker and put it into different sports analogy. Yeah, if you just play a little basketball, you have fun, but you're not going to join the NBA. Well, nobody wants to play against that good player, right? You got to have proper matchmaking and things like that. So, yeah, I don't know. And then now that you could think of AI having better strategy, you're definitely able to play 24/7. And of course, I got to sleep. Yeah, I mean, if you went into a gaming environment and all there were these independent bots, AI players, whatever you want to call them, and they're doing their thing. I mean, if they leave me alone, I guess I don't care. But if like we got combat and you go into a battle and they always win, I mean, the bots playing each other. I mean, I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. That just doesn't sound fun to have that. Now, on the other hand, AI assistants. Oh no, that's totally sounds right. I mean, again, if my mining drill or something, I gotta. Well, here's a perfect example. The current things we have right now is like claim stakes. I have to go in once a day and empty them. Okay, I don't want to do that. So if I could have that automated and maybe instead of just not make me do that, if I had to hire a bot to do it and that's their job and that's all they do, yeah, that's fine. No problem. We can easily do that. And then you can imagine, again, that moving up the chain from other things. So again, where's a bot AI automation? Where's independent thinking? Again, I mean, we are talking a lot right now in society about AI and automation of manual tasks. So I guess you can apply some of those within the Star Atlas game. So yeah, I mean, but I don't know where the division is between an assistant and an independent player and there. Now, having said all that, you got to have a game to automate first. So, you're not going to have, I think, an independent AI doing the shooter mode and doing any better than traditional shooter bot things that, may have difficulties. But actually, now that I think about it, unlike today where we just assume these are not thinking, but definitely more freedom, I would assume in the olden days of gaming that when you went up to level difficulties that they just basically could cheat. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, that would make sense why if on high difficulty, they always shoot you because they have an edge because they're allowed to. And then maybe it just gets less precise if you go to easy mode or something. I don't know how it works. But anyways, so I still think these are all great discussions, what could happen and things like that. But I think in the short term, this is all not going to happen anytime soon, But again, like they said, since it's on the blockchain, there's really not much you can do to stop somebody because, again, these are just simply blockchain actions. So if somebody created a program that could do what you need, and again, Sly Assistant does that right now, and I find that completely useful. So I'm still setting strategy, but it deals with the actual mundane things. So again, it was a great discussion to see, different ideas and things like that. So anyways, yeah, so that's my thoughts on the state of Star Atlas because of this past week. Just to wrap up on my journey playing Star Atlas. So again, I'm working in playing Sage, trying to look at a MobX. I did see an announcement that the recipes were changed. Haven't had a chance to take a look at that, but hope to do that this weekend. But I'm moving through kind of mining different raw materials. So I finally finished being done moving my silica back to the Central Space Station. So now I'm mining and transporting luminite to get up to the level, which may or may not have changed. So that's been working good. And successful to sell some food at the Starbase. So I've decided to take some more out and see if I can find a price point that people are still interested in buying that. So yeah, that's kind of fun. And I have to say, that's what I always thought local markets were for. So this is kind of cool to be actually participating in that. So anyways, yep, that's what I've been doing this last week in Star Atlas. So thanks again for listening. Again, totally open if anybody wants to be a guest on the podcast. Please reach out through my website, intergalacticherald.com. While you're there, check out all my other Star Atlas resources, guides, directories, recaps, my Discord newsfeed. If you want to get a Star Atlas mug, please check out intergalacticgear.com. And lastly, if you want to join other Star Atlas gamers, love to get a community together and kind of help host that at intergalacticcoalition.com. Until next week, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Have a great week ahead.